Hey, welcome to my mock draft 1.0. It is currently March 1st. The combine is happening right now, so we will see if there's any major changes. A lot of these first round guys are kind of expected to, I don't know, they're expected to do well in the combine. So maybe someone sucks and they fall. Maybe someone outside of the first really goes crazy and they get in there. But without further ado, let's get going. I think the first pick, the Bears have a very unique offseason perspective, but um, first pick I think will be Caleb Williams. Um, I don't know if prospect fatigue is going on. I know people don't like his personality as much, but I think he's the pick, and I think it's quite obvious. With the second pick, I'm going to go Drake May. There's some rumors that it could be Jaden Daniels, but Drake May, I think, is closer to Caleb Williams than Jaden Daniels is to Drake May, if that makes sense. But with that being said, I'm gonna pick Jaden Daniels at number 3. Um, Top 3 quarterbacks off the board, the first 3 picks. I think all these guys are great, but um, I think that's how I would rank them right now. At number 4, it makes a lot of sense to draft MHJ to the Cardinals. Um, if they're sticking with Kyler, they're going to need to give him some weapons because that wide receiver room is straight ass. All right. So MHJ provides a much needed boost to that offense, and maybe that's a good duo. I mean, MHJ with Kyler might be kind of lethal, but we will see. Number 5, I've been back and forth between Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, Chargers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, um, Joshua Palmer. They, I think they're all gone within the next 2 years. So they need a wide receiver. But I like Brock Bowers. I think he is a generational tight end. Um, he can do it all. He's a great receiver. He's great after the catch, and he's a great blocker. He's a real George Kittle. Um, and although he looks like a fucking loser, I think he will be a great player. Um, and if the Chargers go Brock Bowers, I do think that the Giants go Malik Neighbors. Um, I've seen a lot of rumors that the Giants might go quarterback, um, but their owner, um, their GM, their ownership team um, seems to really like Daniel Jones for some reason. So I'm gonna go with Malik Neighbors at number 6. The guy's an animal. I think in the past 5 years he'd probably be wide receiver 1, aside from maybe 2020, the year with Waddle Smith and Jamar Chase, and maybe the year with Jettis. Um, I think he would be wide receiver 1 in every other draft class in the past 5 years. Titans. This is an interesting one. They might go Neighbors if he falls, but I think this is pretty obviously, if the board falls this way, I think this is obviously Joe Alt. Their interior O-line is pretty solid. It's okay. Um, I don't see why they would need to draft any interior guys, but Joe Alt is probably the most complete tackle in this draft. Um, and I think he's the youngest, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's going to be 21 throughout his entire rookie season. Um, but yeah, he played tight end in high school, so we know he can also move well. Um, Although his athleticism has been knocked, I think he's got those intangibles. Um, Either way, Falcons. This is also an interesting one. Um, if they do trade for Jaden or Justin Fields, I think they add another receiver in Rome Odunze, and that's what we're gonna do here. Falcons traded for Justin Fields, and now they have Rome Odunze. Congratulations, Atlanta Falcons fans. You'll put up 30 and lose. Just kidding. Um, Probably won't put up 30, but you'll still lose. Bears fans, with 2 top 10 picks, they get Caleb Williams. They get 2 more draft picks probably for Justin Fields. Second and a fourth is the rumor. But Bears fans, I have, where is this guy? Dallas Turner. He just ran an insane 40 for his size, and I think he's the obvious pick here. I think he's the number one defensive player in the draft. I really don't understand um, why he's not getting more hype. I think he's a really clear um, first defensive player off the board. Um, he's a beast. I mean, he's an animal. I think the Bears could see a Texans repeat of Offensive Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Um, if they pick Dallas Turner. Jets at 10. I think the pick here is tackle. Um, and I think they have a couple options. Apparently, there are rumors that Fuaga is a big favorite of the Jets front office. So Tullius Fuaga out of Oregon State is the pick. Um, he had a great Senior Bowl. He projects more as a right tackle, but he could play left tackle. Uh, he's very quick on his feet. And he's a very dominant run blocker. So I could see the Jets taking Talles Fuaga. It makes a lot of sense. And if this happens, um, I think the Vikings have a couple options here. I could see Laiatu Latu. I could see Johnny Newton. But I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm gonna go quarterback. And I think the most potential here, or the safest pick, I would say, is J.J. McCarthy. I know people don't think he's good. I understand that. I know I'm a Michigan fan. You could say on my hoodie. I don't care. Listen, J.J. McCarthy has the arm talent. He's very fucking fast. He's a really good athlete. He can make the NFL throws. I think he's gonna have a really good combine. Um, and he has what a lot of other quarterbacks in this draft class don't. Michael Penix, Bo Nix, they are old. Michael Penix has literally gotten season-ending injuries in 4 years of his 20-year college career, and Bo Nix I think he's going to be 24 going into the season. So I think J.J. McCarthy is still 21, and I think he offers the most potential. Um, and I think at this time he's probably the safest quarterback pick outside of the top three. Now Broncos at 12. I think they go corner, and I think they go Terry and Arnold. Um, there's a lot of debate over what the best cornerback in the draft class is. To be completely honest with you, I think from 1 to 6, Arnold, DeJean, Wiggins, Mitchell, McKinstry, and Rakestraw, I think they're pretty similar in talent. So it's really just which team favors what player. But Arnold is more of a boundary corner, and I think to pair him alongside um, with Pat Surtain, I think it'll be a lethal duo. Um, Raiders at 13, they could go corner as well. Um, let's say hypothetically in my mock draft, they really liked Arnold and they didn't get him, so they're going to draft an offensive lineman, Olu Fashanu. Now, I think Olu Fashanu is probably a right tackle as well. The Raiders already have their left tackle, and I think Colton Miller. Um, Olu Fashano's a great pass blocker, um, and he struggled against Ohio State and JT Tuimoloau, fucking crazy Hawaiian name. Um, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. I don't really care. I don't like Ohio State. Um, he did struggle against those power rushers of Ohio State, um, which is something he kind of took a step back in 2023, but he improved his run blocking a ton. So we're going to give him to the Raiders, and I think that solidifies their tackles. Saints at 14, I'm going to also give them an offensive lineman. I'm going to give him J.C. Latham. Latham probably has some of the best size in the tackle pool for this year. Very powerful. He has some inconsistencies in terms of awareness against stunts, but J.C. Latham is a undeniably huge and strong prospect that will be very good as a tackle. Colts at 15. I think the pick here is a cornerback, and my next favorite cornerback here. Um, DeJean is more of a do-it-all guy. He could be slot, he could be boundary, he could even be a safety, which he might end up with where I want him to go. Nate Wiggins is the pick here, though. Wiggins, Arnold, Mitchell, McKinstry, Rakestraw, they're all really good. Um, Wiggins, I think, projects well with this Colts defense. Um, Seahawks at 16, they need guard, they need center. I think Troy Fautanu, although he played tackle at Washington, has played guard earlier in his career, and I think he projects well there in the NFL. He fits that Seahawks offensive line really well, and that's a position that they desperately need. So the pick to the Seahawks is Troy Fautanu. Jags at 17. Shout out Coasty. Anyways, Jags at 17. He says he doesn't know if they're getting Josh Allen back. Um, Jags fan. He said he doesn't know if they're getting Josh Allen back. Maybe they go Laiatu Latu. Jared Verse just had an insane 40-yard dash. He seems super athletic. Same thing with Chop Robinson. But let's say hypothetically they get Josh Allen back. They don't need edges much. They have Trayvon Walker, who was an interesting pick. Um, but they have Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen. So do they pick edge? Probably not. They could go offensive line. They could go Armarius Mims, Tyler Guyton. Graham Barton wouldn't really make sense. Jordan Morgan, Kingsley Suamataia. But the pick here is Quinyon Mitchell, a beast out of Toledo. I don't like kind of the narratives that Power Five corner or like the Power Five prospects are the only good ones. Um, this guy's uh, this guy's the real deal. He could have stacked up against any cornerback in this draft class, and he might end up being the best one. Um, but I think the Jags corners are set to hit free agency in the next 2 years. Kind of a similar situation to the Chargers. They're good, but they're not going to be there forever. So Quinyon Mitchell is the pick, and I think he's a great cornerstone to build off of. Bengals at 18. I have Armarius Mims here. This guy is an animal. Armarius Mims is huge. He has very long arms. Um, he is probably the riskiest pick because of injury. He didn't play a ton, but the film that he did put up is dominant. He is very good, probably the riskiest tackle pick of the first round tackles, but he probably has the most upside. Um, he's an animal. I think the Bengals get a great pick with great value at 18. I could see him being if he had more tape as consistent as he was in the games that he did play, he'd probably be a top 10, top 5 kind of tackle, in my opinion. Rams at 19. Rams at 19, I think go edge. I'm between Verse and Latu here. Um, I think Latu is definitely a good shout, but the fact that he has kind of a lingering health issue, similar to um, what Jalen Phillips dealt with in the draft, I think Latu falls a little bit. And the pick is Jared Verse. He's having a great combine up to this point, and I think the Rams need a good edge player. Um, and I think his versatility gives the Rams a good athlete to work with there. Steelers at 20. They need an interior offensive lineman. Um, they just released their center, Mason Cole, and I think JPJ out of Oregon, Jackson Powers Johnson, is a great replacement. I think he's much better than Mason Cole, and that's a Michigan alum, so you can't say that I'm biased. JPJ is incredible though. He's had experience at guard and center. He's probably the most solid interior offensive lineman prospect in the draft class. Um, there's really not a ton of knocks that you can put on JPJ. He was really good this past year. He's probably the best center in the country. Um, 21, the Dolphins. They also need an interior offensive lineman, um, and I'm going to give them Graham Barton. Played tackle at Duke, but a lot of things that I'm seeing about his profile is that he he can hold his own at tackle, but he projects as a guard or maybe even center um, a lot better in the NFL. Um, He's another guy that struggles against power rushers, um, but he's got really good awareness. He's got really good help when he doesn't have an assignment. Um, I think he's a great pick for the Dolphins if JPJ doesn't fall. Eagles at 22. Um, Eagles at 22 is another interesting one. A lot of offensive linemen just left the board. Um, do they go with an offensive lineman? It seems like Jason Kelsey's leaning towards retirement. Cam Jurgens is probably going to take over that position if he does, and I think Tyler Guyton is the move here. I don't know much about Tyler Guyton. A lot of people like him. Um, it seems like he's got potential to be a tackle, could be a guard. I'm not completely sure, but I know he is skyrocketing up draft boards right now. I think he was at the Senior Bowl and he had a great Senior Bowl. Um, Texans at 23. I've seen a lot of wide receivers mocked here, um, but I really like Jatavion Sanders. I think he would be the tight end one in a lot of past draft classes. Um, Jatavion Sanders is my pick here. He provides a lot of versatility. He's super quick. Um, and I think he could be a game changer to add to that offense. They already have Nico Collins, um, who just had an insanely big year. Not really out of nowhere. People saw the talent, but he finally has a quarterback to give him that volume, and he broke out in a big way. And adding Jatavion Sanders is just more fuel to the fire. Cowboys at 24. They picked Mazi Smith in the first round last year. I think they go back to the well. Johnny Newton, Byron Murphy, Devondre Sweat. They're all very good shouts. Um, I'm gonna go Byron Murphy. Do I go Byron Murphy? Let's see Byron Murphy. I'm gonna go Byron Murphy. No, I'm gonna go. Do I go Johnny Newton? I'm gonna go Jazon Newton here. Um, Probably the most polished NFL line or D lineman in the draft this year. Johnny Newton to pair uh with that defensive line is probably gonna fit pretty well. I like the fit. I think it's great pick. They could go Byron Murphy. I wouldn't be surprised. It could go Devondre Sweat. They're both great. They did really well in Texas this past year. Um, Not as much Byron Murphy, but Devondre Sweat really climbed up the draft boards this year. Packers at 25. I really like the storyline of drafting Iowa players back-to-back years. Um, Packers are losing a lot of defensive backs in free agency. They're losing Keyshawn Nixon. They're losing Rudy Ford, Darnell Savage. Um, I'm forgetting one, but they're losing a lot of players. Cooper DeJean's versatility makes a lot of sense at this pick. They could slide him in at slot. They could put him in the boundary. They could put him at safety. He's a very good, versatile player who adds a lot of um, different looks to this defense. And with that new defensive coordinator, um, I think he's gonna like playing around with Cooper DeJean. Bucks at 26. I think the fall of Laiatu Latu ends here. Um, he's the most complete prospect defensively, other than Dallas Turner, in my opinion. But like I said, that injury concern might have him fall down the boards slightly. Um, he's probably a top 15 talent, but uh, like I said, these NFL teams are going to look at that injury history and worry about his longevity. I think the Bucks take the risk here. They need the edge. I think Shaq Barrett is gone. Laiatu Latu is a great plug and play player that they can. That he's probably going to do quite well in that defense. Cardinals at 27. I think between a tackle and a defensive back, maybe defensive lineman, they could go Byron Murphy. I'm going to go defensive back. I'm going to go Kool-Aid McKinstry. Um, like I said, a lot of these corners are very similar in terms of skill level. Um, so as we get towards the end of this first round, these guys are going to be of tremendous value. Bills at 28. Gabe Davis is gone. Stefon Diggs seems to start struggling. Maybe it's his age catching up with him. Maybe it's because the offense is so one-dimensional in the passing game. Because he's the only good receiver that they need a second one that's actually good and not Gabe Davis. I think their wide receiver 2 could be Brian Thomas. He's really good. I mean, he put up some insane numbers this past year. Jaden Daniels at quarterback, even with Malik Nabers alongside him. He's very, very athletic. He can go up and get the ball. I think he's 6'4". He is. Yeah, he's, like I said, 4.47 40 time. He's quite fast for that size. He's a freak athlete. I think he's really good after the catch. Um, he's probably going to take over as one of the better receivers in the league once Stefon Diggs is, completely washed. But yeah, Brian Thomas is a pick. Lions at 29. Um, they could go a multitude of directions here. They could get corner. They could get an edge. Chop Robinson's still available. I'm going to have them pick Enos Rakestraw Jr. He's really climbing up the board since the end of the season. A lot of NFL owners seem to like him, like his upside quite a bit. So I'm going to have the Lions pick him towards the end of the first round. Ravens at 30. I could see them getting Rakestraw if he falls here. I could see them getting an edge. You know what? Chop Robinson just had a lightning fast 40-yard dash time. Um, he's got a lot of versatility to his game, a lot of different moves that he can use. He played very well against Michigan. He's one of the reasons that Michigan did not pass in the second half, although he's not insanely talented in the run game. He is a very, very good pass rusher, and I think the Ravens could use that value at 30. 31, 49ers. I think the move here is offensive lineman. I mean, Trent Williams is really old. I think they're losing 3 of their 5 offensive linemen, and I think Jordan Morgan and his athleticism provides a very unique option for them where he can really. I think he could play guard. I think he could play right tackle, but he is very athletic. He has a tendency to get beat inside, but I think looking past that, I mean that can get taught, fixed. I think it would be tremendous value at 31. We all know how the 49ers like their super athletic offensive linemen, and how they use them in the run game and even the pass game. Last pick of the draft, Kansas City Chiefs. I really like a wide receiver here. They got Sky Moore, or not Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, who was a very good receiver towards the end of the season. I think adding another one would be very good for them. A jump ball receiver, I think, would work really well for them. Keon Coleman's very one-dimensional. I think Adonai Mitchell adds even more. I think Adonai Mitchell adds even more of a complete receiver than Keon Coleman is. If AD Mitchell gets picked before this, I definitely see them going Keon Coleman. But yeah, Adonai Mitchell, I think Mahomes is gonna love, and it's just gonna be another scary weapon that they have. Um, so yeah, that is the draft. I don't know if I've never used this website, so I don't know if there's like a yeah, whatever. Um, yeah, that's the draft. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I screwed your team over or not. I really like this draft. There's a lot of good players this year. Clearly, offensive line heavy. I think Let's count them up actually. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 offensive linemen in the first round this year. Um, and I could very well see Kingsley Suamataia get picked as well. So potentially 11 first-round offensive linemen, pretty crazy. Some notable guys that didn't make it. Byron Murphy, obviously very good. T'Vondre Sweat has been climbing draft boards. Um, Chris Jenkins has gotten some shouts. Peyton Wilson just ran an insane 40-yard dash. I think under 4.45 for linebackers is pretty crazy. No safeties get picked, but Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota has really good awareness. Kamari Lassiter is another one of those corners that could go in the first. Cameron Kinchins, I'm not really sure what the hype is about him. Um, I like Tyler Nubin a lot more, but we'll see. Wide receivers, obviously Keon Coleman. Roman Wilson had a very good Senior Bowl. Ladd McConkey is just he puts that white receiver prototype to bed. Like he is just very good. He does not play like he looks, if that makes sense. Running backs, I probably aren't going to see until maybe the end of the second. Um, Penix and Nix are interesting. I don't know where they're going to end up. I could see Penix fits with the Raiders really well, and they like taking risky picks. I could even see them trying to take him in the first round. We'll just see how NFL teams look at him. Um, Bo Nix had a kind of a bad Senior Bowl, and I think that hurt him quite a bit. Spencer Rattler, the complete opposite. Um, but yeah, there's some interesting quarterback stories here. Tight ends, I don't really see any that are close to Ja'Tavion Sanders. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of talent still available in the second round. Let's just say that. Thank you for watching. I'll kill you if you don't like and subscribe. Bye.